They're the only really, really excellent team in the NBA that can't get the last 6 minutes right. In the fourth quarter of Game 4 against the Suns, they had 14 points. They were 3 of 19. They were 0 for 6 for threes. And I don't want to hear about officials. This team had wide open looks, couldn't hit any of them. I've been saying this for 2 months. This is why I have questions about the Clippers and why I like the Suns in this series. I don't trust the Clippers late.
Where Colin was wrong.
Chris Middleton was more Batman than Robin yesterday. 38 last night, a career playoff high. I've been critical of him for years, but I will say this. When you don't ask him to give you last night every night, he's a shot maker. He's a very nice shooter in the NBA. I've always thought he's a better 3, maybe a 4 on a dynasty, a 3 on a finals or a championship team. But he deserves some praise because he was money last night, especially in the fourth.
Where Colin was right.
Talked about it last week. Dame Lillard, I said, here it comes. What do you know? Chris Haynes broke the story. He reportedly could request a trade soon. Listen, 9 years, they couldn't get him a running mate. C.J. McCollum's a very nice player, should be a 3 or a 4, not a 2. And, by the way, Lillard consumes a lot of social media, so Portland fans bagging on him, I'd stay away from that. That's the kind of stuff you don't think it matters. It does. You're lucky to have Dame. Realize that.
Where Colin was wrong.
I had an NFL head coach call me and say, Tom Brady wasn't ripping Mitch Trubisky. Another story today, multiple sources, Tom Brady MFing was not Mitch Trubisky. So here's my takeaway. Who was it? You wouldn't do that to Garoppolo or Tannehill or Derek Carr, which everybody keeps telling me. Those guys aren't terrible. Tom Brady wouldn't rip somebody who was just beat him or pretty good. Derek Carr's pretty good.
There is some stories that that people think it's Derek Carr that he's talking about.
Does everybody realize Brady was not going to go to the Chargers because they were West? Why would you go to Gruden, a second-tier roster, first year in Vegas? So when Brady said, you're going to keep that blankety blank, it must have been a team he had some interest in, right? He looked at it a little. I can't believe the Raiders were even with that roster even considered. But multiple stories today, it's not Trubisky.
Where Colin was right.
Well, the Suns' DeAndre Ayton, the emerging star at center, finally somebody came out and talked about the value behind the scenes of Chris Paul.
That's really the only teammate that really pushed me, like big bro type push, knowing what I got and that I never thought that I had. I think he was the best thing that happened to my career. I can say that every day.
That's the Chris Paul nobody sees on the floor. Pushing young players. It's kind of embarrassing he wasn't even nominated for the MVP. So much of the NBA is only what we can see. What makes Chris Paul different? One of the rare veteran players who will put his arms around a young player, bark at him, pushing, be demanding on that young player. And DeAndre Ayton, everybody's asking right now, why did DeAndre Ayton suddenly get so good? The answer, Chris Paul.
Where Colin was wrong.
Well, Woj reporting the 76ers are committed to Ben Simmons as a, quote, central piece of their franchise. All right. I guess. I don't know how you can sell that to the fans or the locker room, but the Sixers are saying to Woj, we're not going anywhere with Ben Simmons. Now, by the way, Daryl Morey, the GM, tends to say he loves all his players. He also tends to make a lot of moves, so I'll kind of believe it if the season starts and Ben Simmons is there. But as of this morning, Woj is reporting Simmons going nowhere.
Where Colin was right.
Well, I picked the Bucks to win a title, and the second reason was their guys never get hurt. And when Trae Young twisted his ankle, it's another health break for the Bucks. I mean, go look at the playoffs this year. Donovan Mitchell, Harden, Kyrie, Kawhi, AD, Embiid. This is why I said I like Milwaukee. They're sturdy. Their guys don't get hurt. Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, Giannis. They play a lot of games. They don't get hurt. And over the last, I would say, 4 to 5 years in the NBA, health is the reason the Raptors won a title. Health is the reason Harden CP3 couldn't get past Golden State. That's why I took the Bucks.
Where Colin was right?
Well, Friday there was a story from Baker Mayfield's agent. We are expecting very soon contract talks. I said, there's no contract talks. Cleveland's not signing Baker Mayfield. They want to watch this year. Well, story came out today. The Browns have had no substantive talks yet regarding Baker Mayfield. They picked up his fifth-year option. I'm not saying they won't sign him. I think by Thanksgiving, if he plays well and they're first or second in their division, they probably will sign him. I'm not saying they won't. But what is the rush? Goff and Carson Wentz are cautionary tales of signing it a little bit too soon. And I liked signing Carson Wentz, and it backfired. And I like signing Jared Goff. The reality is, last time Baker had a little success, wasn't mature enough to handle it, didn't come into camp in great shape. There is no rush. Lamar Jackson's different. He's won 80% of his games. Every year he comes in peak shape and is better. If you're rushing to sign Baker, it is the classic low sports self-esteem front office. He gives you a little success. Somebody likes us. And you sign him to a long contract. Sit and watch till Thanksgiving. If you like what you see, then you call the agent. All right, all sorts of stuff today. Some football stuff.